Okay, folks, we're going to call this meeting to order. We'll stand for the pledge, if you please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, our first discussion is about a recovery home discussion. Jeremy Shaw, the House of Hope. You're first.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to stand because I don't like to
That's fine.
turn my back to people. I feel it's disrespectful. When I first came to the EDC meeting to propose this idea, it was for a letter of support. A letter of support for our community, for individuals that are suffering with sobriety.
Excuse me, sir, could you speak up so we can hear you out here? I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Jeremy Shaw. When I first came in front of the EDC, it was for a discussion and a request for a letter of support from them for a recovery home at 400 River Street. I feel that it's something that our community needs. I feel that it's something that the county, the state also needs. We have a very small window to help these men and women that are coming, or strictly this is a men's home, that are coming out of recovery and going into transitional housing and then into permanent homes. I'd like to start off with saying thank you to everyone for coming here. This is a great turnout, and I really appreciate everyone being here. I'd like to clarify and correct a lot of misinformation that has been put out by the town manager and the town board, not necessarily the board, but the town manager about what's happening with this idea. First, I'd like to say the information that has been put out is really absurd. This was never stated to be an unsupervised home. This is a home for men who have come out of a certified program, maybe be it Valley Vista, Serenity House, or another, that are looking to establish themselves, get gainfully employed, be part of a community, and not fall back into the trap that happens very, very often when we dump them into a hotel in Rutland, where they're surrounded by addicts and alcoholism. This was never designed to be a home for addicts or pedophiles or people with felonies.
I never said it was.
Well, I kind of think you did, but we can get to that point in just a second if I can finish.
Sure.
This house is supervised. This house is supervised not only by a
Speak
house
up, please.
manager.
Speak up, please.
Not,
I can't hear everything that you're saying, and when I rebut you, I want to know exactly what you said.
sure, I'll
Okay,
try to
thank you.
speak up.
Or he can come here and I can move so he can hear better.
Yeah, well, I can step over here.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
First thing you said, this is something this community needs. I absolutely disagree with you, sir. This community does not need that. That's a bunch of crap.
Sir, I only...
And alcoholics and drug addicts are interchangeable as far as the state goes.
Hold
You do
on,
not
let-
have my support.
Hold
You do
on.
not have a lot of people's support. Thank you,
Hold on.
Bob. I'll leave now.
No, you don't have to
Sir,
leave.
this
You don't have to
program is a
leave at all.
bunch of state hogwash. They won't be welcome here. I won't welcome in here.
Point of order.
And all these people are here with the same idea as me. No one's
Yeah.
gonna support these guys.
I would love to
Nobody.
hear your ideas.
Oh, yeah, you'll hear my ideas.
Yeah.
It's clear about.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
as far as you guys are concerned, alcoholics and drug addicts are interchangeable. You come here with this frosting on a cake saying that you are going to oh, these men need help. Yeah, you know what?
Jim.
Some people do need help. But you guys, the state is slick about this. You'll start out as an alcoholic home, then you'll switch drug dealers,
Jim.
drug addicts, and everybody else in there. Listen, pal, I've done work for these guys before.
That's not.
And I know how it works. You're not welcome here, you know.
Jim,
I'd shake your hand, but I'd probably freaking knock you on your ass.
Jim,
Thank you guys,
Well,
have a
that
good
would be
night.
your prerogative, and I appreciate you coming down to voice your concerns. However, I would like to clarify,
one,
I mean, that's completely uncalled for.
let's be respectful. We'll listen to this.
Just vote these ass.
Jim, come on. Let him speak and then everybody will get a chance to talk, I promise.
Can I continue, please?
Yes.
You got your vote already.
The statement that was made that this is a money grab, I'm not asking for money. I don't want the town's money. I don't want the state's money. I want to provide a place.
Hey, can I say something? I'm a recovering drug addict, only a year clean, okay? I went and got help from places like Valley Vista. I come back to my home of 35 years and I relapsed.
Could I ask everybody to
So
let him
why do
finish?
we feel that this town is necessary?
May I
What
ask
jobs do
everybody,
you have?
please, excuse me,
We have to let him.
let him have his say, everybody
Okay.
will have their say afterwards, I promise you. And I know it's highly charged, but we need to treat everybody with respect, and I'd appreciate if you did that. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, I'm not asking for state funding, not asking for town funding. There is no kickback going to the state. There's no kickback going to the town. This is a group of.
To be honest with you, this meeting should be postponed because there's at least 20 people outside that can barely hear. So this meeting should honestly.
Or maybe
this
he can
discussion
move
could be
closer.
I came here to
postponed
speak.
a
I would
place where we can either get
appreciate
access
the
to
opportunity to
upstairs or a
speak,
larger
sir.
venue.
Could we go upstairs to the community center? Is it,
No, I don't
they
think,
say the community.
Yeah, I don't think there's chairs or anything. We're gonna have to tough it out, folks. We didn't expect this large of a crowd. but-
I mean, this is a huge thing for our town.
Bob Richards negligence again.
Isn't
Yeah,
that what the
thank you very
community
much.
center
I
is
mean-
for, upstairs?
Didn't everybody look
$1
at the
million
papers that were
upstairs?
signed? There's petitions.
Folks,
Well,
let's, folks,
could
be
Jeremy
quiet.
use a microphone? Maybe that would help. Is there, would it make it louder?
We don't have a mic.
we don't have a microphone.
Oh, sorry.
I'll try to
Just
speak
a
louder. I will.
Please do, and be succinct and specific.
I will, sir.
Upstairs should be renovated by now.
Why don't you be quiet, ma'am? Be quiet. You're out of order.
Mr. Gudge's already said that the.
You're out of order.
Guy.
Be quiet. Now, go ahead.
If I may state a few more quick bullet points.
Thank you.
The application to join a home of this setting is 18 pages long. It's very intense. Serious background checks. We go into all types of what's happened in the past and what you're looking to do in the future. And that's our goal, is what these men want to achieve. How do they want to reunite into the community? It involves a commitment of volunteering. It involves a commitment of maintaining a proper, sober living home. These aren't people that don't want to do the right thing. They're looking for an opportunity. And to be honest with you, you may ask why my passion for this is, and I know that Joe, you had mentioned over the phone that why does he need this? Well, he's already got an insurance company. That's not the point. Here's my passion. Okay, I've seen what alcoholism and different addictions have had effects on families. I've seen it. I've walked through it. I've been at Valley Vista. I've been at Serenity House. I know if I didn't walk out to a strong community and a strong family, I wouldn't be the successful man I am now. I've been through it. And 90% of people, when you dump them back into that community or that area, they fall right back in. But I want to tell you a couple of things really quick. Property values around the house, that was something that you asked for, Joe. Property values around houses like this have not decreased. The information. No, please hear me out. The statistics are there. Multiple statistics in the state of Vermont.
And we can do the same.
Absolutely.
The crime rates have not increased.
They have tremendously.
Okay, I'm just gonna wrap up, please.
Specifics of what, if you would give us exactly what you're looking for tonight?
A letter of support.
Okay.
That's all we're looking for. I know nobody wants crime and drugs and pedophiles and things like that in their backyard, but don't these people deserve a shot? I mean,
May I ask you a question, Jeremy?
Hold on,
Because you-
hold on, Deb, please.
I mean, I'm trying to be supportive of just
Sure.
hearing what it
That's-
is, because I feel like people aren't getting a clear picture of what it is you're proposing.
That's what I just.
So.
this is
yeah.
a structured, sober living home of 8 individuals who are gainfully employed, pay their own way, take care of their property, have agreed to volunteer and work with the community and introduce themselves back.
So what is the supervision? Because I think that's a huge.
A house
issue for a lot of
manager,
people.
a house manager is there, also a satellite manager. We have complete satellite video surveillances all around the property. We have ADT that, so these gentlemen have a security system that they have to enter into the house. They have to follow the protocol and they can't be late. They can't, it's monitored. It's very, very monitored. Listen, if somebody told me somebody was coming into my backyard and just, not supervising something like this, I understand what you're saying, or what some people feel about it. I really do. I have 3 daughters. Would I want some crazy house in my backyard? No, but that's not the case.
So what's
This
the
is
response
absolutely
time of this remote
substantially.
satellite
I'm
surveillance?
sorry.
Hold on,
You gotta let him speak, please.
hold on,
We're trying to let him.
hang on.
speak, but-
This is a monitored home with a lot of structure. And unfortunately, I don't think that information was provided to the public.
But you're not describing it now.
Yes, sir.
You're saying structure, but you're not telling us what that is. What's that look like? What's their day look like? How's it getting paid? What's the reimbursement rate?
This is not a debate, however, I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. If I can't answer them right now, I will absolutely send you an email, or we can have a conversation about that.
Oh, yeah, I have a question. I have a question. If you don't get a letter of support from the board tonight, are you still gonna be able to get permitted from the state of Vermont to open that house?
This property is already permitted to have 8 residents.
Well, we can have an argument about that. I think that the property number 1 is not gonna be sufficient in size to house 8 people, along with somebody that's gonna monitor these folks coming in and out. It sounds like we're gonna have.
Don't tell him to shut up.
Sounds like you're not.
So are you.
Now, I am betting you.
I can't hear you, sir, I'm sorry. Can you speak up, please? That didn't work.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chow.
Excuse me, Mr. Richards?
I'm sorry, I wanted to answer your concern.
Yeah, I just don't, I think, I don't believe, I would have an argument with you to state that you already are permitted to use that house in the capacity that you're looking to do. You're looking for 8 individuals into a house that's a 3-bedroom house, which is going to be, I think, it's not going to be a successful situation to house 8 people in a 3-bedroom home.
Why would you say that? Have you never had a bunk bed in a home?
Oh, okay, so you're gonna put 8 men in bunk beds in a small house.
It's not a small house, sir, it's 35.
I know the house, I know the house very well. I know the house very well.
Could you speak?
Yeah,
briefly,
I know the
based on
house
the-
very well too. And
Yeah.
I had 18 children and their families.
You
in
have
it.
children and they're there for a day, okay? It's a
Okay.
whole different story when you have 8 men coming and going, there's no transportation to and from the house. I mean, how is this gonna work logistically?
There is
no.
transportation,
Jeremy, do you want to
sir.
speak to transportation?
Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely.
What is the transportation?
So we have a bus system that runs through Fairhaven.
Yeah, so they're gonna walk down to Fairhaven bus station to take an hour commute into Rutland to do what? To get their, to get meetings for work, I mean,
To be employed, sir.
to be employed, okay.
So that
All
they
these
can,
individuals will have jobs,
these guys aren't on free ride.
okay. So no state funding, they're all employed, they're all drug screened, how often?
It depends on the group conscious. If someone feels that someone is walking outside of the lines of our
Someone
8.
feels, now let me ask you that.
So there's
Someone
8
feels-
people.
Is that just self-monitored then? So it's not somebody
No,
that's there
no,
that's...
the house manager also. And Mom, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, as far as the testing as to whether they're sober or not, I'm certified through the state of Vermont to do that, even though you don't have to be certified in order to do alcohol testing. At any time, I can go in and request any member of that household to be tested for alcohol use. And they have to comply according to the contract. If they come back with a positive alcohol screening, then it goes to the house managers to decide what to do from there. But their contract states
They
If-
cannot.
they cannot and they will be released from that home.
They go to an advanced facility.
And they
Until
come
they can-
directly from that advanced facility
Which
to
is
that
located,
house.
which is located where?
Either Valley Vista or Serenity House or
So
whatever
they're
else.
not the community, there's no benefit
Well-
for our community other than,
But sir, there's no one in this community that runs a Valley Vista type
Exactly.
program, so they have to be sent to these places.
exactly, yeah.
Fairhaven doesn't have that unless this house
But it-
becomes
But
available.
isn't this a bad, just saying that, isn't this a bad location
this is
for
becoming
something
a
to be
debate.
located like that? Isn't
Would
Rutland
you
a
stand
much
back
better
over there?
option? We could go through a
Well,
list.
you know, yes, probably you would say
Joe,
that
is this a
because of the
debate?
people in
Please.
Rutland, but
Sure.
do you know
Sure.
that
It
if
was a discussion.
Fairhaven had a hotel,
Okay, it's an open
we could fill
discussion.
this house with people in
So you wanna
Fairhaven?
fill, you wanna
This
fill
doesn't
residential
sound like an open
neighborhoods
discussion.
with recovering drug addicts.
They're not drug addicts,
What are
sir,
they?
they're recovering alcoholics.
Let the board
run the meeting. It is what it
That would
is.
be nice.
Run the meeting.
That would be
I'm
nice.
sorry,
If
I
you-
was asked to speak.
If you would please address your question up here, and we will have whoever should answer it. I'd like very
I'm
much,
sorry, sir.
no, you're fine, you were trying to get control here. So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to ask if the board has any questions of Mr. Shaw, and then I will open it up to the floor, if that's okay with everybody. And that means that there's 5 people here that may have questions that are gonna make the decision, so we need to get their questions out, and then we will let you guys all ask your questions. Okay, and if there's somebody in the hallway that has a questions, if you could at least come in and stand in the aisle to ask that question, that would be helpful. Thank you. Questions from the board?
So is this house strictly for recovering alcoholics, or is this...
Strictly recovering alcoholics.
Perfect, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
They all have jobs and already lined up.
They do not all have jobs when they come out of the recovery program. However, I'm not turning anyone away because they don't have a job. And according to the contracts that I'm happy to provide for you, they have 60 days to gain employment. Or go to school or volunteer for the town. So I'm not gonna turn anyone away because they don't have a job. But yes, sir, most are gainfully employed. Yeah, and we've been working with some of the local communities about, and some of the local companies about getting that degree skidded a little bit so that they can get in.
Please speak up. It's difficult, I know, but we're trying to accommodate a lot of
Came to the
people.
door that we could hear you out here too.
Yes, sir. So these gentlemen may not be employed when they come into the home, but they sign a contract stating that they have a certain amount of time to become employed. And if they're not employed, they're not a weight on the community. We pay for it. And that's not coming from taxpayers, that's not coming from the Fed. That's just something that I believe in.
So where's it coming
Okay.
from?
Hang on. We're gonna go across the board, then we'll get to your questions. Okay? I promise you, you will have a chance to get your questions out.
Do you intend on becoming VTAR certified?
Yes.
For those who don't know, VTAR is the Vermont Alliance of Recovery Residences. They are the best practice certifier of recovery homes in Vermont. At the EDC meeting, you indicated a level 1 VTAR facility.
We've reviewed that and we believe we're gonna go to a level 2.
Level 2, okay.
Can you explain that?
So level 2 VTAR facility has more oversight and supervision with house manager, staff on site there, whereas a level 1 is not certified, right? And just to clear up some misconceptions around that, if I can speak a little bit to it after the question portion, but that's all I have for questions right now.
Just, I know the question was asked before. If all the residents and everyone doesn't want the house to go in, do you still plan to put the house in?
If all of the residents of the town of Fairhaven?
No, I'm talking the people living, I'd be more, the people living on River Street, and the vast majority of the people in Fairhaven are saying, no, we understand, it's not that we don't support what you're trying to do, but what I've been hearing is concerns about where the house is located. It's the location. I haven't heard anyone talk, but the first thing that comes to my mind is usually, how close is it to my grade school? How close is it to if I have a recovering alcoholic, if I'm going to work, I have to walk to the bus station by the liquor store on Liberty Street.
Sure.
It's just, I don't think, I think what we're hearing is, my mind, is some emotion around where this home is going to be, not that the purpose and everything. I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing that concern. And that would be my only question.
With all due respect, sir, the town has authorized 2 marijuana dispensaries within 250 yards of our elementary school. This is a mile outside of town, on the border of being completely out of town.
So to answer my question, would you put the home in regardless of the majority of the taxpayers saying, no, we don't want you?
I'm not asking for the taxpayers' money, sir.
I didn't ask you to ask for money. Would you put the home in?
I will put a home in. I don't think what we're doing here is wrong. I believe in it to the bottom of my heart. I think it's something that the community needs, and it also brings in a lot of benefits for people that maybe they're not in a sober living home, but they can't get to Rutland to get the necessities that they need as far as Turning Point, Alcoholics Anonymous, meetings, community, things like that. I think it's something that we need. I think if you walk through the park any night of the week, you'll see the need. And if this provides a safe, sober living home for the community that maybe has gone through a tough time, and it provides them, if it saves one man's life, sir, one man's life.
At the risk of someone else's, though, you have no guarantees that this is going to be successful.
Sure.
I was responding to a question, sir.
I have more towards you. So, because they're not asking money from the town, this is considered a private sale, correct?
So,
Yes, yeah.
right,
The sale has no bearing on.
right, but it's no different than me buying a house in town.
Right.
So, as a board, we have no right to stop a private sale of a home, correct?
There may be some planning commission issues, I would think for sure.
Okay.
Change of use.
But the house is already permitted for this kind of use, correct?
I'm not
For a
sure.
childcare of.
Childcare.
For childcare, not.
So it's zoned
not an alcohol
differently.
rehabilitation.
Right, I think there's arguably some difference.
So realistically, as a board and as residents of the town, we really can't stop this if he wants to move forward, correct?
Well, the planning commission probably will have some, but what he's asking from us
Is a
is a letter of
support.
recommendation or a
Letter of support.
letter of support. We definitely we can yay or nay that for sure. And it's gonna
And
go
that's
a
what
long
he
way
asked.
towards
Absolutely,
what
sir.
he gets for state certification. My question to you is the certification, you don't have the certification now?
Not yet, it is in the process, the application has been submitted. Yes.
How does that work? I mean, my way of thinking, I don't wanna support something that I don't know, that it isn't certified yet. For instance, that's the bottom line for me. Whether or not it's a good facility or not, or what well-run facility or any of that stuff. If it's not certified, you're gonna get a no.
We haven't got to the certification part yet, because we were coming to the town to be open and honest about what our idea is
As a courtesy
and our plan.
to the town.
I get that, and this is the
So
first
if
time
we
we've
get
heard
the
of it.
blessing, great.
That's,
That's really what we're here for. If there's no blessing, doesn't mean this isn't still needed for the area.
You
It's-
got
it
my
really
blessing.
is.
What gets me is most of the people that are there right now are the ones that were so concerned that it was pedophiles, addicts, people that were gonna hurt people, and they could not accept it was going to be a sober living with supervision. Everybody was ranting and raving, no supervision, addicts, pedophiles, they're gonna rob us, they're gonna do this to us, they're gonna do that to us. They're not hearing you. They're not hearing that this is a sober living and that there's gonna be supervision. And they're just trying to live their life. They're trying to get their lives back.
Thank you. Once again, I can't apologize enough for the way this is set up, but if you step into the room to make your point, ma'am, you had something, you were talking before, and I stopped you.
So, we talk about supervision, like what does that look like? Because you talked about remote surveillance and ADT. So who responds to that? What's the response time? What does that look like? What is your staffing regulations of when the staff will be there? How many staff members are gonna be there?
I can send you all of that information. It's very detailed.
You don't know like as a time, like off your
I
head?
can't
like,
tell you how
there'll be
fast the
two
police
people on a
department would
day.
be at your house or your house. I can't speak to that intelligently.
Right, because we talked about like having a daycare there with 18 toddlers, like that's different because the state mandates how many adults have to be there at a time, but we're not knowing what, if, when somebody's going to be there.
but it's
So-
not, that's not mandated by the state in a home like this.
Right,
So
so there is no supervision that's mandated, it's as they come and
he's
go.
telling you that there is going to be a house manager.
Okay, but what does that look like?
They live there, right?
So it's someone that lives in the residence that's gonna be managing?
When will they be there?
There will be someone on site 24/7.
And there's like
24/7.
staffing abilities.
But not a
vacations,
resident, not a resident, just someone that's gonna be working there to monitor these people?
When you say a resident,
Right.
explain. You mean someone that's just staying there and
Someone
collecting a
that's
paycheck? Or
recovering
you?
from alcohol or drug addiction.
Well, how could I tell someone if they're in recovery that they couldn't qualify for a job that they're positioned to and have great experience?
Well, then answer this, are they gonna be living at the house alongside the other 7 people?
Absolutely.
So it's gonna be a resident that's gonna be monitoring other residents?
Absolutely.
That doesn't make sense.
That's not
Doesn't make sense at
No,
all?
let me clarify.
Yeah.
The house resident manages the home.
Okay.
I'm not telling you that I'm gonna disqualify a man who has maybe had some trouble in the past and is in recovery, and 3 or 4 years have gone by and he's qualified for the
And mom is
position.
gonna be doing the drug screening whenever she comes by, and your mother is gonna be doing the drug screening whenever.
There are multiple people that can do the drug screening.
And you talked about them getting jobs, solidifying jobs. Most jobs require background checks. What are the backgrounds of these people?
I can't speak to their backgrounds, all of them.
So we don't know
That-
if they have
I
You
can,
already said
likely
that there's gonna
history.
be
if I
background
can
checks.
complete my response, it's a very, very intense application process.
So what does that
Their
mean?
backgrounds, meaning you can't have a felony. You can't have,
Outstanding
charges. And the pedophiles, things like that doesn't fly. We work with the local government to make sure that we're putting the right people in place. And when I say right people, I mean people that want help, but not people who are gonna, I live here. I don't want to have issues. And I'm assuming you live here in Fairhaven, right? You don't
This
want to
is my
have.
backyard.
Yeah. So I completely understand what you're saying. And one of the things that we've found over doing a lot of the research in the area is that this is not a crime increase. It just doesn't happen. And if you take some time to go online and take a look at some of the information that's out there, that's from the state, from the government, you can look at all of this information. It just doesn't happen.
So are these Fairhaven residents or are they for people that are located all over the state?
No, they could be from anywhere.
So it's
If
something our
someone-
community needs, but they could be from anywhere.
If someone needs help, I'm not gonna tell them no because they live in Granville.
How many of these have you run before? Is this your first?
It's the first one I've run,
First
sir.
one. So we'll be the test dummies for. what
I
you
wouldn't
wanna do.
consider you a test dummy, sir.
Well, that's how I
So,
feel. I feel
what-
like I'm gonna have
Well, I
video
understand how you
surveillance in the
feel.
neighborhood with someone that's gonna be living in the house monitoring themselves. You're gonna have mom come in to do the drug screening and sign it off or checking off on.
But excuse me,
what-
sir,
Yeah.
I was a medical care coordinator at a residential
No, I understand,
care
but
for
you
many
understand that
years.
there's a family relationship here. You wanna
Yes.
make this successful, and what if it isn't? I mean, what happens
Well-
if somebody falls off the wagon, somebody gets hurt, then who's gonna be, who's gonna be called out on that?
What happens every day, sir, in this
Exactly,
community?
but you're bringing
when-
8 people into a residential
No,
area that's
can I
gonna
finish?
increase that.
I've listened to you. Can I please
Yes,
finish?
I'd love to hear.
What happens every day when someone falls off a wagon? Every day.
No, I get it, I totally
When they
see
don't
where you're
have the
going with this,
support,
and I
when they
agree with
don't-
what you guys are
Can I
trying to do,
please
but I don't
finish?
think it's gonna be on
Okay.
River Street in Fairhaven that's
Okay.
gonna make sense. You need to put it where it's gonna be successful with the resources.
Where is
there.
that, sir?
I don't know, maybe Rutland?
Why
maybe
in
somewhere
Rutland?
there's a-
Why should it be in Rutland?
Facilities to give them the help they need.
Hold on.
So you
hold on.
can dump these
One
men
at a time.
You're
into
gonna
a
do-
community
you're gonna turn
that
dump
has
and you're gonna
already
dump it in
has
my
incredibly
backyard?
high.
Sir, thank you.
I'm sorry.
We have-
No, I know you're emotional and you're angry and everything, but I don't want to make this a debating society. I'd like everybody to have a chance to speak,
I'm sorry.
and once you start repeating yourself, I'll cut you off, okay?
We talked about.
Sir?
Yeah, I'd be glad to answer your question what goes on every day. We got crackheads in the parks, we got drunks in the parks, people can't walk their dogs without getting attacked by another dog. You know, the cops can't deal with that. They tell us there's 5 crack houses around this school over here, and then you're like, let's bring other guys over here. We're more worried about that than the children in this town, which is fucking sick.
Hey,
My
keep it-
biggest
So
concern.
that's what I gotta say.
No, let me
Dude,
respond. Let me respond.
They can't
My-
even handle it.
My
Hey,
And
biggest
on the
concern.
weekends, they're closed, so we gotta wait
is
for a
this
state
community.
that's around if he's close by to come here.
My
Sir,
biggest
sir,
concern is
thank you.
this community. sir.
Yeah, but it's not helping, we have nothing to offer. I have friends that have to go all the way
I
down
think
to
that we
Rutland
do have
to
something
get
to
help, and when they
offer.
come back, there's no AA meeting, no NA meeting, and you're worried about a damn house.
So
Why don't you
there's-
start with the basics?
Sir, there's AA meetings at,
Where?
in Fairhaven,
Okay,
Holding,
where?
Rutland, Grace
Oh,
House.
yeah, how these people, you just say, hop the bus. Hop the bus, pal.
You've had your,
And then if they miss it, how are they gonna get home?
sir,
I'm
sir,
sure
you've
there
had
are
your,
some
you've
other
had your
things
thing.
that
It make
we
a lot
could
of
do to
sense
help.
Your point's been taken.
This is all just common sense to you people.
Hang on.
Okay.
You the one in your backyard and you're gonna look at it? Why do you put it up on South Side?
You're done, sir. Thank you.
That's a good place for it. Would y'all like it up on South Side?
Carl, and then the
Hell no.
woman behind
Okay, so I'm
saying,
not really
like
clear
Carl and then you.
what the point of this whole meeting is. You're hearing a lot of flack about having a halfway house in town in somebody's backyard, in defining about supervision, talking about rules and regulations. But what is it you're looking for? You're looking for a letter of support from the select board. I suggest the select board, instead of leaving it to 5, poll a room and find out, who's in favor, who's opposed.
I have 150 signatures on a petition.
I know that,
Over to you.
you're the one that has I've got the electronic copy, but I'll take that too as well.
So I mean, the letter of support from wherever it comes from is only one step in your process, and you can take it or leave it, and then move on and do whatever you need to do. And you could be successful, you could be successful at the
I
end
would
of the
like
day.
the community support, sir.
Okay, well, I'd like for the select board,
I'm
against it. If you want to take a poll, and there's a bunch of people in the hall.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
Where is the money coming to buy this house
sir,
and to operate the
sir,
house?
sir.
Renovate it? Oh, excuse me, I thought you said.
I did, but I'm mistaken. I already told this lady she could speak.
Hi, yeah, I live a couple houses down and I drive by it every day, and that house is not up to code in any way, shape, or form. My main concern is if you have people in there, how can you say they're gonna be safe? Are you gonna renovate the house? Are you gonna bring it up to code? The whole daycare got shut down because an inspector came in and determined that the place was unfit for habitation.
That is completely untrue. I'm the owner of that daycare. That did not happen.
Hold
We
on.
chose to close that
That's-
daycare.
That's
I made
rather
that
unfortunate,
decision.
whoever I saw the records.
What
The
records?
roof on that, of the inspection report.
What inspection?
When the inspector of daycares in the state of Vermont came to that daycare.
I am that. I work for the licensing unit at DCF.
Now.
Right.
Yes, exactly, that is nepotism.
Didn't then.
I work for the person
like the
who
fox
was that
guarding the
licensor
hen
at that time.
That's
It was
kind of a
absolutely-
that's a separate issue.
The whole
Absolutely
building is
not
up to
true.
code. And what are
When
you gonna
you-
do to get it to that position?
Okay, let me respond, please.
Oh.
When you say it's not up to code, give me for instance.
Take a look at the
The
roof.
main concern I have is the roof of the building. It has a clear bow in it. The timbers inside are probably very rotted. You can see leaks on top of the roof, there's moss growing on it. That means that the substrate of what the slate is placed on is rotting away. That whole roof is gonna need to be replaced, and that's quite an expensive job.
If a roof needs to be replaced, then it has to be replaced.
Which leads
However,
to your question.
I would say, can I please finish? If a roof has to be replaced in your house, do you replace it? Of course you do.
Yes, but my concern is where the funding is coming from.
We would do.
Why are you concerned with where
my money
comes from
we
at
all
his
want to
residential
know.
property?
Because I live 2 houses
live
there.
there.
As taxpayers,
We
we
live
deserve
there.
to know.
Concerned about the
You
way he
deserve
makes
to
his
know
money?
where my
And we
money
live
comes
there, and
from.
we're
I
concerned
don't
about
know where your
Hey,
money's coming
everybody.
from. I
You
want
were
to know.
concerned about how I made money
everybody.
when I was
Time out.
running a business there.
Your question, sir?
Yeah, where is the money coming from to buy this house, to support this house? Out of your pocket?
Me.
You're gonna do it right out of your pocket. You're gonna buy this house, renovate it, and support these people while they're there out of your pocket. No federal funding.
No federal at all.
No
Nothing.
federal, no state. I'm not asking anybody for anyone, sir.
I would.
Let me finish
have that much
answering.
money?
Hold on.
So I would say to you, I'm sorry, what did you say?
You have that much money to do this out of your own pocket.
Okay, let me respond to the first foolish statement that you made.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where my money comes from.
It is if it's federal money,
I told you it's not. I've stated that 4 times in
We're
front
not
of the
telling us where it
board.
is coming
but
from.
you're saying it's coming out of
Is
your
it
pocket.
private pay?
Okay, so-
Where does your money come from?
Let me explain.
I
Let me respond.
So does he.
Just
That's
let
a
me
foolish question
respond.
to you.
Let me respond.
Why is that a foolish question, whether you're getting
I couldn't
federal
have-
money?
Sir, it's not a foolish question. What I'm saying
Okay.
is, you're asking me, I've
Yes.
answered it 4 times. I don't want state's money. I don't want federal money. I don't want anything from the town. Nothing.
What about the
How does that affect you?
That doesn't.
Where the money
We
comes from?
never
Have I
said no
clarified that?
federal money, how this You're gonna
No,
support
thanks.
this house, buy it and renovate it out of your pocket.
Where are you
People
getting
buy
out of
houses every other day, sir.
What's the profit in it for you?
You know what, not everything is about profit.
Horseshit.
We're gonna help 8 people
Oh,
from this
okay.
town.
That's what
leave.
makes the world go around, pal.
I'm done.
Yeah, well,
With that, I'm not gonna respond to that.
that's fine.
What we're
Is there
not hearing
any,
is like where, if somebody was to check, because this is gonna be good for the community, if somebody was interested in going to this facility, how is it getting paid for?
it's a legitimate question. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it isn't.
Right, is it
That's a foolish
insurance, is
question.
it private pay?
No, it isn't.
What does that look like?
These gentlemen have to pay their way. Every week, they have to pay for their rooms and their boards.
So it's private.
Okay.
That's all that had to be said.
Mrs. Billowitz?
Which is what he already
It's
told you.
actually,
Go ahead.
none of
I have a question, and this is addressed to Mr. Richards and Mr. Vijay. This gentleman said that the proposed residents would come from anywhere in the state, assumably Vermont residents, to this proposed home. I asked Mr. Vijay, where you're executive director of a substance abuse facility, would any of your residents be considered and transferred to this proposed home?
I'll answer that question, but I also want to speak to this a little more. I'm going to stand up just because I want everyone to hear me, and I think I can speak louder when I stand. Can everyone in the hallway hear me?
Yep.
So my name's Chad Vijay. I sit on the select board. My 9 to 5 or midnight to midnight job is CEO of Recovery House Inc., which operates a few high-intensity and low-intensity inpatient substance use facilities, treatment facilities. I don't want to speak specifically for Mr. Shaw's endeavor because I still have questions about Mr. Shaw's endeavor. But what I would like to speak to is the idea of recovery residences and what it means to communities, right? When there was a housing report done in 2019, the state took a look at the need for recovery services across Vermont. What it came up with was about a 1,100 bed shortfall in healthy, safe housing for folks who struggle with substance use. Right? Right now, since the pandemic, we're 100 beds shorter. Right? That's a considerable shortfall. So where are these folks living? Right? They're living in the same environment that was unhealthy and led them to use and drink. They're living in hotels. And I cannot begin to explain the number of folks I hear every single day complaining about the hotels in Rutland. What we need are safe environments for folks who are coming out of treatments in a really raw stage and need to be in a sober environment. Right? We say not in our backyard. This is not unique to Fairhaven. This is not unique to any town across America. Right? The idea is, how do we as a community support folks in need? Now, it's up to you whether or not you support this or not. I can't make that statement for you. But what I can say is that there's a process in Vermont for certification for these types of beds, these types of homes. Right now, that certification is through the Vermont Alliance of Recovery Residences, and it follows suit with national certification levels, right? I'm hearing Mr. Shaw say he wants to be a level 2 facility under VTAR certification, right? That means that there are some standards that are best practices. And if you're interested, SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, has put out a best practice guide in 2023 about recovery residences. It will tell you exactly what the best practices are to run a successful house, and it will tell you what these houses bring to a community, right? You cannot argue the data. And I understand folks want to argue the data because it doesn't feel good, right? There's a lot of stigma around folks who are in recovery because of folks who are actively using and committing crimes. Folks who are trying to work hard are getting lumped into that kind of criminal categorization, right? But what recovery residences do is lower substance use rates. for those individuals, the increase income rates for those individuals, and decrease incarceration rates for those individuals. So what I would ask for you to do, and this is just my request for the town, is to consider the logistics of the proposed use and not categorize a recovery residence in any sort of ill form that it shouldn't be categorized in. Right? This stigma, the thinking that is negative about folks in recovery, continues to keep folks in recovery down, and it's costing Vermonters lives. Just something to think about. But to answer Mrs. Bilowitz's specific question, if the criteria met, if the criteria for Mr. Shaw's home was met by one of our individuals, we would certainly refer them there, right? No different than, we may have Fairhaven residents that have no local option, and we've got to send them up to St. Albans or over to Barry.
I appreciate that, and I respect your education and I respect your input. But the bottom line of that is, and I appreciate what you just said now, would your paid position as executive director at that facility, would that create a conflict of interest with respect to your vote, a letter of support? Because you're actively involved, undoubtedly you would be the executive director to review a referral, potentially sign a referral that is leaning, and I prefaced it by saying this is addressed to Mr. Richards and Mr. Vijay. That's something to consider, a very serious conflict of interest there. One very quick other, to follow up on this woman's question as to how this would be paid. You're buying it with your own money. Respectfully, you can buy whatever you want. How you earn your money, what you have in your bank is your business. What I believe the underlying question to get to the point is, how would it be maintained and sustained? You stated, and they're concerned about federal funds, taxpayer funds being involved, because a lot of these people are against it. You said that the residents would be paying rent and I don't want to classify it as a disability, but with an issue with substance abuse. I have a master's degree in substance abuse, so I'm very
Please get to the question.
But what I'm saying is that these people would be paying rent. They more than likely are on Social Security, disability, or some type of check assistance program. That in turn would be paid over as rent to obviously pay for the food, etc. So indirectly, buying through their checks, which are federal checks, they would be taxpayer money, be it at the state and federal level, would be going to support this home. That's fact. You cannot deny that. Because it's the same thing as long-term care.
Let him answer the question, even though you answered it for yourself.
I would say I wouldn't turn anyone away because they were asking for a hand up for a few months to get into the home.
I agree with you. But bottom line is federal funds will be involved.
Okay, if I may finish.
Yes.
Part of the application process states gainful employment, you're going to school, going to college, you're volunteering, all of these things come into play. I don't want the federal government's money. I want these men to come out, have a safe home, work their way back into society, maybe reunite with their family, maybe have a nice home that they could have someone come over to and say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how great I'm going. This is, or the direction that I'm going. Things like that. I don't want the government's money. I don't need it.
Volunteer school and work is a lot for a recovering addict to handle after getting out of institution.
There's somebody had their hand that way in the back there.
Mine.
Oh, there's a lot.
All right, I'm gonna.
Sorry, Roseanne, I forgot that you. I'll get to you. I'll get to you.
Hi, my name's Gary Cook. I know most probably don't even know me.
And that's probably by choice, because I try to stay in the shadows. But I've worked with people who basically work with transportation for Serenity House, Valley Vista, the Methadone Clinic in Rutland, the Methadone Clinic back when they used to go over the White River. And it worked for the people who wanted to make it work. The problem is that the percentage of people that I saw trying to make it work were very few. There are actually people who want to stay on the program because they get financial funding for the rest of their life as long as they are on that program. And you know, the ones who deserve it, they're going to get up and do it. My father-in-law he was a professional drunk. He worked down the Serenity House as a janitorial and repair work. And he also went down there to get in touch and tried to get him off drinking. They couldn't do it. He had to make that decision himself. My brother-in-law, just this last spring, ended up committing suicide with heroin, methadone, cocaine.
I'm very sorry.
And he did it to himself. He did it to himself. He and I were best friends. I went to school. He and I were best friends right from the start. I wouldn't wish him to dead, but he did this for himself. He left himself there on the couch where he couldn't get out of the house with his mother. He thought he was 84 years old. Had to sit there and watch somebody who killed himself with a needle in the chest.
Mr. Cook, do you have a question? Because there's a lot of people that do as well.
How are you going to make it so that people have transportation? Because we're a distance away from Rutland. And if you call anybody for a ride from Rutland, it's going to take time. And most of the time, these people who are sitting here waiting to leave, they're going to say, screw it, I'm not going to sit around here waiting, I'm going to leave now. And they're going to go out the door, and you can't stop them.
No, you can't. You can't.
And then where's we?
I think the benefit that we have in this community is we do have the bus system. We also have access to Uber. We have access to Lyft. We have access to volunteers in the area that are more than happy to help.
But these people do not wait an hour. They do not wait a half hour. When they're ready to leave, they're out the door. I live up that street.
Me too.
And it wouldn't take me much to reach over, grab something out of the corner, and smack them in the head when they walk by. I saw a 14-year-old walking the street this morning up this afternoon going home. I had to walk right by that house. And that first time I answered mine, what the hell is this kid going to be doing? Walking by this house with these people out there.
Okay.
I don't want you to think that an option for transportation is off the table. There's a lot of 15-passenger vans around the area, something like that, and a lot of people will volunteer to drive those vans.
A 15-passenger van, you got to have a CDL license.
Well, maybe a 12, maybe a 10, maybe an 8. We can argue the points, but what I'm saying is, having a van is not off the table.
Okay, I'm gonna move on, Roseanne.
My initial question is for the young lady here.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were talking earlier that you're qualified to test for alcohol?
And drugs, but alcohol.
Well, that's what my question was. Are you also?
Yes.
You can do that?
Absolutely.
And how often will you be doing that as well?
It will be set up in a random situation where they will not know when I'll be coming in to test. But if there is a question, I will be called in and can test them at that particular point. As far as randomly testing, I mean, I can go into that facility every day if needed.
Okay.
But typically, unless there's a reason, they don't call you in to test. But there will be, just like anybody that's driving a truck on the road can be pulled over by DMV and tested for drugs and alcohol at that particular time. That's going to be the policy in this building. And I will be back and forth quite often.
Okay, so there was part of my other, or part of the question is, how often do you intend to do this? Because the people that they pull over driving truck on the road, Well, these people are already proven alcoholics, so shouldn't you be there much more often?
Well,
That will be,
yeah,
excuse me,
that-
not to
that'll be-
interrupt.
oh, I'm sorry.
But that will be at our discretion.
Yeah.
If the group conscious feels that someone smells like alcohol, smells like drugs, we can call in a drug test like that. Not
Maybe
only
calling in a lot of drug tests.
can that happen, but the state police department is right here in Castleton. We also have the healthcare center. All of those can admit all of those tests within an hour.
And ma'am, when a new I don't wanna call them patients, because they're not patients. When a new client comes in, a new renter comes in, they will be tested regularly on, okay, say they come in on a Friday. They're gonna be tested the day they come in. They'll probably be tested on Monday, and then they'll be tested again on Thursday, and then again after the weekend. This process may go on for a few weeks. If they continue to test negative, then it won't be that often. It'll be a random
There
thing.
is one negative. There is one negative. You test negative one time.
You're out.
You're not completely out, but you
Why
have
not?
to, you have to go out, because we're not gonna throw anybody.
So then you're gonna send them back to the rehab?
No, let me finish. You have to leave the home.
Okay.
We have set in place storage facilities in the area where, let's say, someone has a slip, someone relapses.
Yeah.
We're not gonna throw their things out into the front yard. We're gonna take them, we're gonna put them in a secure area. You go to an advanced facility.
Where
you
they just
complete-
came from?
They may have, but maybe this is the time that they need a little bit extra help. So they will go there, complete a certification process, and they get voted, pretty much, everybody has to say, hey, you know what, we feel pretty confident about this, and let's,
Okay.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, you weren't quite finished?
No, I wasn't. So you keep indicating this is for alcoholics, not drug addicts. Well, first of all, obviously alcoholics are addicts.
Yes, they
So what's to stop, oh, well, this one's more an alcoholic than he is a drug addict. So, I mean, I'm just,
I can't answer that question.
I'm
Jeremy may be able
Well-
to,
just,
I understand. what you're
Roseanne,
saying.
Roseanne, I was just gonna say this to everybody, and I'll say, we're starting to get into what-if questions, which is way out of what we need to know at this point. But, go ahead, you had, no, behind you.
sorry.
Paul Jardine. What if, no, I'm just kidding. So, my question is, directing this to the board, could you tell me where the applicant is in the application process, if you know?
This is the absolute first time we've talked to the.
So I guess I'll ask the applicant. if I
Yes,
may.
you may.
Have you applied already for this permit with the town, or with zoning?
We have not. This
Okay,
was,
so
first we met with the development board, and this is the first time coming
What's
in
the
front of
development
us.
board? Is that town fair?
EDC, Economic Development.
Just for a letter of support, though, we didn't ask for
Gotcha,
any
thanks, I
money.
just want to know
Yep.
what process is that.
But that information is readily available.
Thank you.
After the meeting, I'd be happy to share anything with you.
So I have some questions about, like, who all is involved in your project. So I'll just say I have some real close family members who have struggled with alcoholism all their lives. I have one person very, very close to me, out in California, who he has been through, he's lived in a recovery home that was a supervised home. It sounds a lot like what you're talking about, where there was a manager that was on site. He kept an eye on everything that was going on. However, I heard that, there were some residents there who were backsliding, and just like what you're saying, as a community, they would bring it to the manager's attention, and there ended up being a lot of tensions around that, and it wasn't the most sober place in the world. He went through a program that was very strict with that was run by the Salvation Army, and that was fantastic. you know, it was really strictly supervised, and they had a great program of, you know, different things that they had tasks they had to go through, like on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. So I guess what I'm asking is, I felt that Salvation Army program, there were a lot of people who were like, they went to school for, you know, how to run this kind of a program. They had medical professionals that were involved in the program, and it was a lot more successful than other things that we went through. And I guess my question is, you're saying that these people are coming, they will have already been through a program maybe similar to what they do with Salvation Army, and then this is a home where they'll be monitored, but the people who are doing the monitoring, like, okay, I understand you would be doing drug testing, but like, who's gonna be the house manager? Is that gonna be someone who's like, they have gone through schooling to be a counselor with alcoholics,
Right.
you know?
So that will be someone that we review as the house owner,
Yeah.
the medical care provider, the program director, and interview and determine
Okay.
who that will be.
But say, like, I
However, what
have
I'm
a
saying-
niece who worked as a
Sorry, go
psych
ahead.
tech, now she's an RN, she works with addicts and alcoholics, and like, you know, there are a lot of people who go through a lot of very intensive training, and I just wanna understand, like.
No, I think it's a very valid
the people-
question.
Cause I would feel personally a lot more comfortable with a home like that if I felt that the people who are gonna be involved are professionals in this field, you know what I'm
We've
saying?
had, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
So we've had outreach from the Turning Point Center, helping with coming down and helping the individuals with concerns about, you know, how can I get to an AA meeting? How can I get to work tomorrow? I have a behavior specialist, I have a psychologist appointment, things like that. So they've expressed great concern, not great concern, but like admiration as to, my God, we need this in the area. I spoke to Tracy, who manages that, and she's like, we would just love to have something like that. And it wouldn't just be for our home. Once the people are filtered into the community, all of a sudden people in other areas around, you know, that's a resource for them as well. We wouldn't turn anyone away from.
Deb, I'd like to
I'm
get
sorry.
some other,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. Sorry, sir, there's a couple people ahead of you. And then folks, we're starting to ask the same questions, and we're diving way deeper into it than we need to for this letter of recommendation. But I want everybody to get a chance. You were first. Yeah.
All I wanted to say was, it's a general consensus for the people that live in the immediate area and beyond on River Street. We do not want this. We will not welcome this. We will do whatever we need to do to stop this. And I think most people in this room would not want this right next to their home. We have children in the area. We have a nice, peaceful neighborhood. We do not want this.
So,
And can I,
Go ahead.
Lisa,
go ahead.
If I may,
Why-
I just want to respond to her
why
before you
400
interview.
River Street? What about the
If I can,
property?
I think
can
it's
I
gonna-
respond to you, please? So, not on 400 River Street, right? That's not where you want it. Correct?
Correct.
So, where should it be?
Rutland.
So, but.
Great answer.
You keep saying
I
like
mean,
there's.
come on,
Go-
guys.
go ahead.
These
Go
are
ahead.
our, these are our
This is-
citizens. This is our
Like,
community.
You're gonna be the no, this lady here,
Saying
Relates
that people are
directly.
coming from all
What?
over the state.
Relates
This is
directly.
not our community.
It doesn't mean
let her
it's
speak,
not.
she's
And
been,
can I ask you, sir, have you already gone to the Economic Development Committee?
Yes.
Can I ask you, Ms. Standard, do you sit on the Economic Development Committee?
I sure do.
I believe that's a conflict of interest since you are a third owner of that property.
EDC didn't give him any.
So
He
why?
wasn't asking for
You should
anything.
not be allowed to vote on that. just like Chad.
We haven't
should not be
voted on it.
allowed to vote because he also has a vested interest in this
Did we
in
vote?
a different way.
Thank you.
I agree.
So my question is, what would 400 River Street, because we've heard like the dispensaries and the bars, what would 400 River Street benefit these men? And then you talk about like public transportation and the Medicaid bus. So that stop is across from the dispensary. Are we adding another stop on River Street?
It could happen.
We'll take notes.
That's a
Because
good
today,
question.
I almost witnessed a little boy get hit by a bus because he was trying to navigate the narrow road, the lack of shoulder, and that blind corner that
I can't
400
speak
River
to
Street
the
sits
blind
on.
corner or the lack of shoulder or
Well,
anything
you would
like
know the
that.
property you're buying.
I know the property, but I can't explain to you as to why it's been approved for it to be super narrow
But what-
or dangerous.
What pros, what is the attraction of 400 River Street for these men? Like, what are they, is there like
It's a safe.
garden? Is there like
There's a
walking
beautiful,
trails?
there's a beautiful garden.
What is?
There's a beautiful
what is
garden,
the
a beautiful
attraction?
yard. There's a great community center in the middle of the property, where they can share their time and we can hold meetings as a group conscious. Everyone has their own space. It's got an industrial kitchen. I would say if you have more questions about the property, please give me a call after the meeting. I'll take you and walk you right through it. I'll do that for anybody.
No, I'm just saying, like, for free time, like, it's kind of small outside, the road's bad to walk on, like, so why 400 River Street? Like, Slate Valley Bingo's got a great parking lot, it's more towards town, like, we could move it there. You got the hotels in Rutland, they can accommodate more people. If you want to serve more
you
people.
just bounce from having extra space to going to hotels in Rutland.
Because
That's
there's a
not-
lack of 1,000 beds.
Yeah, no, this home has a beautiful yard. It's on a substantial piece of property. The walking on that road, I've traveled that road, I've walked it. Maybe some people feel that it could be dangerous, but I've seen it. I don't really know.
There's one that they cleared and it grows right back.
I mean, haven't we all walked down a road that had a small
Go ahead, sir.
shoulder? I'm not sure where you're going with that trip today.
Mike Pavlik, EDC, Economic Development Committee Council, what are we, Glenn? I don't know.
Economic
We didn't
Development
vote,
Committee.
but this was brought up at the last EDC, so for the board, please, 3 concerns, I'll keep it quick. Fairhaven doesn't have the facilities in case there's an emergency. We don't have a clinic like Castleton. We don't have police on the weekends in case something happens at the house. That's point 1. Point 2,
It's not entirely true.
okay, this doesn't help. I'm on the Economic Development Committee, so I'm glad that it came to this meeting because it's not really an economic development issue because it doesn't provide any economic development for the committee, for the town. And the third thing that I'm presenting to the board is I live on River Street, and when Glenn asked the question earlier that it said, if all the people in town said they don't want it and you'd still do it, the gentleman said, yes, I would. That's super offensive. That's all I gotta say.
Agree.
Folks, I think we've heard enough from everybody. I don't think we're gonna hear anything different is what I'm saying.
I
Can I
have
just
to
make
say
one
though,
point?
that not everybody is against it.
I did hear that. I heard your comment from before. I got it.
One thing on logistics, there's a toolkit that these recovery houses use for people that are setting these programs up. And one of they give them there's a litany of checklists and things to do to make them successful. And one of the points that they bring up, and I can share that document with you if you like, is logistically where it's located. And they mention, many times over about being close to resources where these people will be successful to get to where they need to go, meetings, shopping, just community support. And every single one of these that are located in Vermont are in major cities, Rutland, Burlington, St. Albans. So to put something in 400 River Street in Fairhaven with the hope that this is gonna help the community, I think is a real stretch. And I hope the board will consider that when they make the decision on whether they think this is a good fit for our community.
Good job, good job.
Okay.
Laundromat's closing, what about that?
I think we got to the point where we
That
can.
helps the town.
Thanks. Unless anybody on the board has any other questions, I think we've
I just got one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this home gonna be manned, you say manned 24 hours a day?
Correct.
That's a lot of people over the time frame of a week, 2 weeks, a month. We got
3 8-hour
three shifts
shifts
a day, 21 shifts a week. You're talking 5.5 to 6 people minimum. Then you got
Provides jobs for the
vacations,
community.
you got vacations, you got sick time. You prepared for all that?
I am, sir.
I think it's time to make a decision. And entertain a motion one way or the other.
Just a comment, because it sounds like I'm not ready to go yay or nay. There's more information, like there seems to be more information needed.
No.
Like for me, thank you. But for me, there was the question about, I think someone asked, did you get the level 2 certification? Now, I don't know the process of whether but I'd like to think you get certified before you put the people in.
You do?
I'm looking at people who might know. So I'm saying, first I want to know the facts. Right now, I know what we say we want to have. I want to see what it is. And then, once I know really what it is, and I've got some more information you give me here, then I would feel more equipped to say yes or no. And again, this is for the request that came to us is a letter of support. Very similar, I chair the you might think there's a lot of economic development committee people in this room.
Acting chair.
I've been the acting chair for 6 years of that. But it's one where similar requests came and we listened to what Hope House and asked some questions, but then said, no, you're coming to the select board to ask. We aren't prepared to make a decision either at that time. So again, for someone who was just wondering, no decision was made. It's what I do, and I think that Jeremy is doing a pretty good job can be a little hostile environment every now and then, but at coming in and saying, look, I've got this idea, we want to do this thing, and sharing everything he can with us as a board, with you as residents of River Street and taxpayers, saying, here's what we're thinking about doing. And I'm sure we all have a lot of information we got that needs processing. I'm not prepared to sit here and say, yes or no, I want to write a letter of support. I hear loud and clear what everyone is saying, that I don't need a show of hands to know the vast majority present here tonight do not support the home going in. I get it. I just think though I'd want to get beyond some emotion and get some more facts of what it is before we call. So I don't want to call the question of do we write a letter of support or not. I want to become more educated. That's just me.
Anybody else? Questions, comments?
No, I would want more information. I just got one thing. Before I came in this room tonight, all I kept hearing was halfway house. I didn't know if it's halfway between A and C, which would be B. I have no clue. I have no clue what it was. So being that said, I need a lot more information before I can vote yes or no on this. A lot more.
Same.
Well, I'm at what the information we've got now, I wouldn't vote for a letter of support because we need a lot more. I I hate, and it sounds like the board wants to kick it down the road. I don't. I honestly don't see that, if I was gonna propose something like this, and I'll tell you how to do your business, but I'd have had all these ducks in a row. Expecting that you're always gonna get some pushback from the people who live around it. That you would have exactly what you're gonna do. You would have your certification from the state, and you'd say, here's what I can do. I don't have any of that. I'd be willing to not give a letter of support.
If I may respond, sir.
Sure.
So that's a tremendous financial investment to not know if we could get a letter of support.
Think about our end.
I do, and I'm a resident. I'm right here. I go to the same dump you do. I go to the same grocery store. I get it.
But you're asking us to support something that is essentially a concept. And there's examples of it being successful in other places, but there's no example that the people who certify these situations are going to support you, but you're asking us to support you. And I can't do that now.
I understand. May I just make one small comment and then I'll bow out. I asked for questions from the last board meeting. I would ask if all of the board members would please make some notes and forward to me what their concerns are and what needs to be addressed. The last board meeting, I got a response at 3:18 on Friday, and was request to provide the information Monday from Joe. If you could give me a little bit of time with all of your concerns, just give me that. And if I could maybe solve some of these questions, or, give you enough information to make an informed decision. I don't want this to continue. I don't want to have another one of these meetings. These aren't fun. Well, however, I'll do it.
Be prepared. I think you already got promised that. So you already did.
Might I make a suggestion to the board? The next time we have this conversation, there are some subject matter experts in the state who are specific in recovery residences. I think it might behoove us to hear their information about general practices and general information separate from an individual who's trying to open up a residence here, and that might help remove any emotion, and it might be more objective.
And my only comment to that would be, I'm a little embarrassed of how we're set up and people in the hall and can't hear. I think in a timely manner, we get a place where everyone can come in and hear and sit down. We bring the experts in, and we work at trying to be civil with each other and have that discussion.
Can I ask one question to clarify just about procedure? You're asking for a letter of support basically to help you with the certification process, is that correct? That's why you want the letter of support?
They're helpful.
Okay.
It's not necessary, but it's helpful.
So I think a lot of people, they're asking, like, do you have the permit yet? And all that. So just to clarify, this property, because I was on the planning commission when it was approved for use as a daycare center, it would be a change of use, correct, Bob?
I think so.
So being a change of use, even though you said, well, if the residents didn't like it, you would, you're committed to this project.
This program.
I am. I'm just saying, it would come to the planning commission to decide to approve or not that permit application, and the planning commission is only allowed to deny a permit on the basis that it somehow goes against our planning bylaws. So the planning commission doesn't really have a huge amount of power to deny a permit to any kind of use unless it goes against our planning bylaws. So it really doesn't matter how anybody feels about it, I believe. Because I sat on, there are a lot of people who didn't want to see two cannabis retail places. I didn't feel one way or another about it, but I'm just saying, you can't let your emotions enter into your decisions on the planning commission. So if Mr. Shaw wants to go ahead, if the people involved in this project want to go ahead and they want to apply for a permit, please understand that the planning commission cannot make their decisions based on their emotions. They have to go by what our town bylaws say. So don't go out and want to lynch people for doing what they're required, obliged to do.
I think the permitting process will also have public input. They most always do, and I can't imagine why this one wouldn't.
Jeremy, could I ask a question? You said you were committed to the project.
I don't know that he was finished. Or...
No, don't. We're done talking about this tonight. And I'm going to ask the board if there's any you do not want to do. You just want to, for lack of a better term, kick the can down the road. Is that what we're doing?
What we wanted is probably, and timing is probably important, but I think it would be well served to give it a couple weeks, and we set up a separate meeting, not an add-on to a select board meeting,
Especially in budget season.
to take care of this here.
To answer your question, I'm a no at this point, for lack of information.
Right, if you were to force the issue.
I can't, but I would like to. I think it, you know, these people deserve something from us, but if it isn't there, it isn't there. So I'm just saying, is there a motion or is there not a motion? Because we're gonna move on after this. And if there's no motion, we're moving on. We will revisit this again.
No, I think it's pretty lame that there's no motion, that there's no vote, that we don't call it. You know, if it's a no vote, we're not gonna have a letter of recommendation. Then there can be another meeting. He can come back to you. There shouldn't be the burden on the select board to set up another meeting. The burden should be, you didn't give us enough information. There's a public outcry that doesn't understand it, that doesn't want it. And so, no is the answer. When you're better prepared, petition us to come back and set up a select board meeting or a special meting as requested.
So you feel that you're representative, you're representing the whole community?
We had 100 people out here.
There's 3,000 people in this community.
Well, there's 160 signatures right here.
Whoa.
I would prefer a vote right now.
You would like a vote?
If I may.
See now you're requesting a vote, and I'll make the motion not to write a letter of recommendation for this OPEX.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Does everybody understand what we're doing?
I'm going to abstain to reflect on any conflict of interest. At this time, I don't feel there's a conflict of interest, but I do want to give it some consideration, right? My interest is with community members who are struggling, right? I have no affiliations with Mr. Shaw or his organization. I would not gain any sort of financial way. So I wanted more time to reflect on that, gather more information. I think a no is an uninformed no at this point.
How long would we have to revisit this? How long would you suggest for us?
Motion's on the table, Robert's rules.
Or Bob's rules.
I'm willing to wait another 30 days.
Well, there's a motion there. You're right.
So he can come back when it's voted no, correct?
Yes, you can revisit this
I
as
want to
many
be more
times as you want.
There's been a motion and a second. There can be some discussion.
Yes, there is.
And my discussion was, I wouldn't want you to come back until after you've gone before the planning commission. And that's one of the pieces of information, because if you get a permit from the planning commission, and that would cause us to have probably a lot more to discuss, but if you don't get one, it becomes a moot point. We don't need to be there.
I would like to see a permit before we even talk, so that other people who regulate these type of things.
So that would give you an idea of the timing of when you want to get on.
Me, I want more information because this is all new to me. So I want to make sure I'm informed with everything before I make a decision.
Well, I would definitely like to address the community and thank all of them for coming here and expressing their concerns. There's no bad concerns. It's all good information.
Mr. Shaw, can I just ask you one more question? Why would you want to put this residence in an area where it's unwelcome? Would that be a positive experience for the people that you're trying to help?
The motion.
I would ask you, it's tough, and this is not meant to sound
Because
offensive.
it's very unwelcome, and it will.
I would ask you.
It will not be welcome.
Okay.
And it doesn't seem
I'll
like
let you finish.
a
Go ahead.
positive experience for what you are trying to do,
For who?
for these people.
For the people that are coming out of
Yes. Why would
recovery?
you want to put them in a hostile environment?
Why would
Because
anybody be hostile
we
towards someone
don't
that wants
want
to?
them there.
We've lived in our
We-
homes for 40 years.
We live
And
there.
we're having our whole environment changed.
We want peace
Is this
and
what we
quiet.
worked so hard for
We don't-
retirement for?
The question's been
I
asked.
didn't.
The question's been asked. You're gonna answer, and then we're gonna have a vote. You're good?
Really?
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Those opposed? One abstention?
Did
We
you,
are not
did
gonna
you
write a
say you're in
letter.
favor?
Thank you for your time.
In
Is
favor.
there a way that, more information Mr. Shaw comes up with?
And the
to share
motion
with the
is-
select board that can be published on the webpage or someplace?
The motion
Where
is not
everybody
to
in the
support.
community can review it?
The next time we have a meeting,
You publish it.
if we have another,
on the webpage.
I'd be happy to forward you any information.
Carl, if we have another meeting on this, we will have it at the grade school, and it will be well notified. It'll be on the agenda anyways, and it'll probably be a
Tell
special
him
meeting.
I need a bathroom break.
Can you give a quick break before we get into the rest
Yeah,
of the agenda?
yeah, yes. Okay, we're gonna have a break.
Quick break before we get started. with the rest of
The meeting. We're not even started yet. Amendments to the agenda. Oh, great.
Yes, I know. Well, they're quick though. I have 3 today. If we could put under old business, funding for the water plant roof. I have 2 under new business, slate tile donation, slate sidewalk donation. As well as also under new business, manufactured housing consultant contract or something along those lines.
Can I make one motion to cover all three?
Slate
Yeah.
tile donation.
I'm gonna make one motion to cover all three. I'll make a motion to add under old business B, payment for the water plant roof. Under new business C, we'll do the Orwell Free Library slate request. And under new business D, modular housing consultant award.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye?
Those opposed? Okay, so there's 3 more. Approval of the minutes of September 17th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 17th as written.
Additions, deletions, corrections?
The only thing I saw was, under others that were present, we seem to have missed Josh Markey's name. We talk about him down below, so I know he was
Yeah,
there.
he came in a little later. He might not have signed.
So I don't think he signed in, that's why he wasn't there. But Josh Markey,
He did not sign it.
but Josh Markey was present and talked later on. So that's the only thing I would do.
Everybody okay with that change? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those
May I
opposed?
ask who seconded that? Thank you.
Was it you or was, yeah, that's what I thought, Rich. Okay.
I thought you did that.
You're on the hook for it.
Okay.
Okay. This ought to be good. 5 minutes for public comment. Deb.
Hi, so just for the record, Deborah Liacona, I'm one of the owners of Ruby's Bistro and Bakery, and I just wanted to address the comments that Johnny Bilowitz made last week about or not last week, at the last meeting, about our outdoor seating and the roping. So just to be clear, we apply for a permit to use the sidewalk every year. Part of the permit includes photos of our seating. The roping is required for outdoor consumption of alcohol, following upon our discussion. Responsible consumption of alcohol. Anyway, yeah, roping is required, and the roping was approved as part of our permit for this year. And I know that for ADA compliance, there's supposed to be a continuous space, like a passage of 36 inches. It can narrow to 32 inches in certain spots, but it should be 36 inches for passageway. So at the time when we were first setting it up, we measured it. Now that the tree in front of our place has been removed, it's easier to maintain that space. So anyway, I measured so where the grate is that surrounded where the tree was, the edge of the pavement to where we put our posts, which are very light and movable, is more than 32 inches. There's at least, like if you include the space where the grate is, it's over 40 inches. So just to be clear, just so you all know, we're definitely in compliance with the ADA requirements with that, and we feel like we're providing something that people in town want. Looks nice, so I hope.
I don't think
there was no concern.
I didn't think there was, but I just
don't think there's
wanted
any
to
other
make sure.
complaints.
Okay.
May I just tell you that I've walked through that space several times. I didn't trip, I didn't fall, there was plenty of room, I didn't touch a thing.
Okay, well, thank you. And we do have people who pass by there with wheelchairs and walkers often, and there's no problem, so.
Yeah, I checked it out the next day, as I usually always do, believe it or not. And it looks beautiful, it was functionable, very nice job.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
But just wanted to say that for the
Anyone else for public comment? I'm not gonna ask again.
All right, that's it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Department head reports, chief.
I left it in your box late. I was off for a couple of days last week. I don't know if I picked it up or not. Just get it out in the folder here. So in the last 2 weeks, we had 6 arrests. One was a wanted person. One was for false information of the police officer obstructing justice. One was first degree aggravated domestic assault and aggravated assault on a police officer. One was another one for false information to a police officer. We had a DUI, a wanted person, and a driving license suspended. We wrote 37 traffic tickets, 4 written warnings. We had 1 car crash. We did 8 sets of civilian fingerprints in the last 2 weeks. I gave you a brief rundown of what we did in the report. You go to the next page. A couple things I'd like to acknowledge. I can acknowledge Patrolman Sherry McDermott. She starts her 7th year with the department. And part-time officer Craig Walker Sr. starts his 4th year with the department. The carpet is here. We're just waiting on the time frame on installation and moving forward with that. But the carpet is paid for. It's in our back office waiting for the rest of the process to work out. The new pole mounted speed sign did show up today. It's in the hallway up there, so that is here. The other thing I wanted to just briefly talk about was the assault on the officer last week. One officer's here. This is Tyler. We haven't met him. He's our new officer. He's been here a bunch of years. He worked with the sheriffs. This is Officer Duell. He came here full time. So it was myself, Officer Covino, and Officer Duell that responded to that call. And that purely was a mental health incident, and he wanted to go suicide by cop. I've questioned myself a bunch of times. We probably could have ended that badly. Everything worked out fortunately. We did not. We subdued him with pepper spray, a taser in our hands, and he's still held at this point. So it worked out. The victim didn't get hurt, the officer didn't get hurt, and he's still alive to regret those bad decisions. So I just want to commend him. Tom's not here, and I don't want to commend myself, but obviously I was part of it, that we made some decisions that some people will probably question why we didn't take lethal action, and just the whole thought process, we tried to get away. Like, we tried to back up. At the point, he was not a threat to anybody but himself. We tried to pull back. We had just no opportunity. He just came right at us.
Right, but use your proper level, so nobody's, I'm not gonna question you that, and that's coming from my background in the military, so you use your.
I mean, we could have.
You could have, but
anybody that's reviewed it said we probably were justified. I think we made a really good decision not to go that route. Again, on the heels that we had one last year, that, you know, was justified. But I just wanted the two officers, and I'm not trying to, I don't pat myself on the back, but just I think that we questioned it. We sat around and watched the body cameras, and it's literally mind-numbing. Like, how did that happen? When you watch it frame by frame, and we're lucky that nobody got hurt, and I'm just thankful.
I will, you and I have had our problems in the past, but you guys were outstanding, and you were outstanding as the leader of that operation. There is no way that I'm so surprised that guy survived. And he only survived because of you guys. He owes you his life. And it was, what I saw, the pictures I saw, it was justifiable. He was armed and dangerous and getting ready to attack another officer. You guys are, your restraint was remarkable, and
I appreciate
should be noted. It really is.
So we had 100 calls for service in the last 2 weeks, and we're at 2849 for the year right now.
How many in 2 weeks?
100.
100?
Yes, we're a little down, but like I said, I was off on vacation, the sergeant was off on vacation, so. But I think that's all I have. Let me just look, double check.
Questions for
That's
the,
all I have for the board.
questions for the chief?
No, good job.
Good job.
I just got one thing. I want to echo what Bob just told you, both of you. Great job. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rose?
I think that's all I got.
Did you have something, Rose?
No, she said thank you.
Oh, okay.
She lost her voice.
Get out of here. Okay.
There
it is. There it is. I knew better.
Just a little choked up.
Okay, very quickly. We'll start with Public Works, since they've been grinding out the work these last 2 weeks. Mr. Greeno and Mr. Dorn, you talked about roadside mowing should never stop. They kept going. So South Main, they touched that up again
I see him this afternoon.
Yep. They're also out there picking up some of the junk. So, you know, we're trying to clean the place up. So, good for those guys. Carl was here. The one-way stop was reinstalled. Apparently it was just the anchor. I thought the whole post was bad, but they found a way to make that work. They put an anchor in.
Called a new
Where's
base.
that?
New base.
The new base. Pelkey Avenue.
Oh,
The new backhoe showed up, so this is the backhoe that we got the grant for. So if you're interested, it's a sharp piece of equipment. It's sitting down at the transfer station. Yeah. If you were out anytime over the last week and a half, you see the guys are working on the sidewalks. They poured half of it today. The other half goes in on Thursday. Nate was saying he thinks you'd be able to walk on it Saturday morning, Friday night. So we're waiting to see how long it cures. Scott Schill, Nate told me that project is going well. They mobilized and they got the culverts in already. So yeah, they're making good time. And Nate said they're working on the potholes too, so they're just picking away out there. Potholes and storm drains are being cleaned. From my office, nothing quite as exciting. The hazard mitigation plan, this is our 5-year renewal of that. We're doing that. This is something that if we do this for FEMA, then FEMA gives us more money if there's a disaster. So, and they pay for it, so it's really a no-brainer. If you were at Apple Fest, our inaugural Mario Kart race went really well, I hear. I didn't get to race, I was there too early. Mario Kart.
I didn't see that at all.
What?
Explain.
Do you know what Mario Kart is?
No.
Oh, so like the little Nintendo game where you're Mario and you get to race around the track and you get to throw shells at your opponents? Same thing, except with plush shells and kids.
And they just run, like, we're running around a small.
In the park, there was a small track. Yeah, it was a big hit.
And what's it
We
called?
were out of town,
Mario?
so I didn't get to go.
I'm calling it the Mario Kart race.
Mario Kart race.
Yeah, and that was Reese, our new rec director. He's doing a good job. He's getting his feet under him. Scotch Hill, we talked about. Security cameras are still scheduled for the 14th of this month. And we'll be talking about the Skyline grant and contract coming up later in the meeting. And the budget's done. And the proposed budget's done and sitting in front of you. 2.5%.
All right, moving right along. Unless you got nothing? Traffic ordinance. We're down to one stop sign or two stop signs? One stop sign.
This was the actual reason we were talking about this, was to add the stop signs. I added the stop signs, they're on page, let's see.
6 and 7.
Yeah, 6 and 7.
So, are you looking for a motion
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we accept the change stop sign, the park and ride stop sign changes in the ordinance?
I'll second that.
Is that good enough? Do we need to say that we're accepting the whole ordinance again, or?
We should probably accept the whole ordinance.
Yep,
With those
okay.
changes,
With those
maybe?
changes, yeah, just to eliminate the technicality.
So moved what he said.
I'll second.
What did I say?
We're gonna make a motion to accept the changes and our traffic ordinance as written.
There you go. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
So this will be posted in the newspaper the next run, and then Eileen's gonna run around, or she's gonna run out and post tomorrow morning. So this will be effective 11/30/24, assuming we do not get a petition to stop it.
Oh, what's the chances of that? Funding for the water plant roof.
Yeah, so I hate to come back to the well a second time, gentlemen, but the roof on the water plant the board approved $109,000 to replace the rubber roof. Then as they were replacing the roof, the fascia started to fall off, which you approved $22,500 to replace the fascia. But the lumber behind the fascia, the reason it started to fall off was because it was rotten. So there was an additional $7,406 to complete the project. I know.
They didn't see that when they looked at that?
I tried to talk it back.
I mean,
yeah, you would think.
right? I mean, this is a well-known contractor that does this stuff all the time. Something that and dragged his feet on the project, right?
Where's that money coming from?
From the Water Capital Reserve Fund.
I'd entertain that motion. Is the job done now?
The job is done. It's been done.
Yeah.
It does look nice. I was up there the other day. Looks really good.
To the point though, I don't think it's a scam job. I think he just
What's
didn't realize how much it was.
What's the additional amount again?
$7,406.
Okay, I'll make a
That's the-
motion.
I'm sorry.
You can talk after.
I wasn't implying that. I'm just saying who the contractor is. That's something that.
I'll make a motion that we take on the water capital reserve fund, $7,406 to finish the roof project.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Good.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. New business would be the FY 25 highway safety grant approval. That's you.
Yeah, so the chief was awarded.
There's two more on that, roof project, no.
No, they're down below. They're new business.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So the town was awarded another highway safety grant. And I was hoping the chief could give you a bit more information about that.
So this is similar to the grant fund ended yesterday. The new grant cycle starts October 1st. Governor's Highway Safety sent the sheriffs and also the letter that's authorizing us to continue working prior to the grant being executed between them and the sheriff's department, and then selling that to us, like last year. So I was looking for temporary approval to continue working the grant until the new grant is executed, then we will be presented with the actual grant itself. It doesn't appear to be any changes from last year. I did put the letter in the box, I think, I believe.
So what you're looking for is a motion to accept the money in the grant?
Except, National Highway Traffic Safety Grant.
I'll make a motion to accept the National Highway Safety Grant for what?
No, there is no set amount.
Okay, there is no set amount. Okay,
No, if we were to work $1, they would reimburse us the $1.
okay.
Second.
Same stipulations, try to keep it close to home.
Yeah, we barely venture. I think we did 1 day or 2 on ticket, but outside of that, we're not drifting much farther than Main Road.
Okay.
And turn around.
Any other questions?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We got a cemetery deed.
Sure, I'll make a motion to sell one grave in lot number 97N, section 17 in the Cedar Grove Cemetery to Janet Nicholas for the sum of $545.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, good. Slate sidewalk donation.
Oh, yeah. So the Orwell Free Library left I didn't actually talk to the librarian, but I talked to her assistant. They left a message, they're doing some renovations and they're requesting a 10 by 10 amount of slate sidewalk. And they were just wondering if we had some we pulled up, if we would be willing to donate to them.
Amounts to 2 pieces is what you were thinking?
Probably 2 pieces, yeah. I don't know how big size we have, but I know we have a stack sitting down at the shop, and there's also some really huge pieces downstairs.
Nobody wants to use anymore.
For sidewalk.
I thought you would be proud that I was gonna make the motion to actually put some slate sidewalk in Orwell.
In Orwell,
Where
yeah.
they don't have an ordinance against it.
Or quarry, or people who gave their lives.
Also, I'll make a motion that we donate the slate to the Orwell Library for their sidewalk.
Second.
This is the Orwell Library.
I'll
That's
make a
correct.
motion.
Oh, well.
I'll second that motion.
But I'd like to visit that ordinance, slate sidewalk ordinance.
In Orwell?
No. You're in town.
Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Orwell thanks you.
Oh, they'll be pleased, yeah. That's
All right.
fine.
Okay, and you need something for the manufactured housing?
Yes.
Right.
So that's what,
Modular house, yeah.
that guy, I know it's really small type, it didn't come out. But we had three applicants for this. We had a grant of $60,000, no match from the town. We had 3 applicants that wanted to become the consultant to review the old Skyline building to see if it was able to become operational and then at what cost. The companies were Logic, the Mod Squad, and IOSC. After myself and Peter Schneider, who's the gentleman that came and talked before, we did a review with 4 criteria, weighted criteria, which is in front of you. We landed on IOSC in the amount of $46,800, which the grant was 60, so they came in a little under budget.
Good.
And that's what I'm recommending.
That's what's in the green that I can't read?
IOSC, yes.
Make a motion to accept the bid by IOSC for $46,800 for the consultant grant for the modular housing.
Yeah, yeah. I'll second that.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ones that don't cost any money sound good?
Yep.
Budget review begins. We have the budget. Take it home and review it. We're not gonna go over it tonight. Unless anybody feels strongly that we should.
I'm giving time to look at it.
Okay, so we're moving that. Review starts when you get home.
Just before you move on, did you want a couple comments about?
So we did manage it very, very briefly. We did manage to keep it at 2.5%, as the board requested. It was a struggle this year, when we knew it would be. Our healthcare insurance is going up 23%, and I put 12% for the rest of our insurance through VLCT, but we're gonna see where they land. I don't hear back from them until the end of this year, so, I think 12% is pretty safe. I went back and compared historic figures, so, yeah.
We have to have a union contract in this budget, or is it the next, will it be the next budget?
It's this one here, and I've been talking with the, police and AFSCME, and we're gonna start to set up dates and get our people together to make this happen before the budget is over.
No, the current budget ends when?
This budget?
No, June, the current police contract budget, that ends end of June?
I think it is the fiscal year. I'll have, don't quote me on that, but I'll check.
To answer your question, is it in next year's monies or?
Right.
Or this.
We have to be negotiating next year's, or we wouldn't have had it in there, right?
Exactly right. So what we decide with this union will impact the paper in front of you.
Yep. Good.
All right.
With this budget, the appropriations section, are the proposed budgets figures that you've spoken to these organizations about, or is it a best guess?
So nobody has increased in a lot of years, so I used flat fund. I did increase appropriations for the library and the rescue squad, I think at 3%, just assuming there would be an increase. So there is a buffer in there for the our 2.5% has a buffer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to point out, being in insurance, we're seeing increases. All companies, all lines of business, anywhere from 15 to 20%.
Yeah, totally outrageous, but, yeah.
I'm just,
I
just
hear
want
you.
you guys to be.
I hear the same thing from my mother-in-law. She's an insurance agent. She's about sick of being in the insurance industry. She's looking at early retirement.
Anything in the parking lot? I can tell you we will be talking about subdivision regulations and the neighborhood designation tomorrow. We did get a grant through the Regional Planning Commission to help us with that. So they will be spending a bunch of time here, and we will be utilizing them as much as we can. The first thing we'll like, there's a couple things we can do right off, but it's a fairly straightforward checklist. You know, do this, do this, do this, and one of the things is just the capacity for the water and sewer both. And there's a form. I'm going to give it to those guys and let them knock it off. It's not. I'd like to think we'll be done by the end of the year.
And I saw Castleton subdivision regulations on the Roundtable Region Planning Commission website that they approved back in, I think it was '86. But it shows you the elements. I don't think they've changed.
No, not much. I mean, a lot of that's not going to change. And Poultney has a little bit newer set, but which we.
I think emails or attachment or emails.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yep. All right. Anything else?
I got one thing in front of me now.
Yeah.
Our DPW garage / salt shed. I know we dropped it, it's been on the back burner. But I gotta tell you something, guys. We're lucky if that salt shed stays up another few months. So, we're gonna have to start thinking about this.
We're not
Salt
gonna,
shed.
we're not gonna think about it like the state did.
So we're probably gonna take that tipping building, knock it down and throw a tarp over it because we don't have the money that they want for salt sheds.
Well, I think we could do a much better, cheaper job than.
My suggestion is to get started on some of these landscape blocks. We got lots of fill down there. Stand them up,
Put a pole barn on
fill the shed over. At least we'd have something to put a tarp over,
Or you
if
get-
that
you get-
came to that.
Yeah, you can have some.
I'm telling you, it's gonna come down in not too much distant future.
We probably ought to take it down
And
before somebody gets
it
hurt.
looks like it should be taken down.
Yeah.
It's leaning pretty good.
You gotta have a place to put the salt. You can't have the salt out in the rain.
True. Good point. Moving on. You're going to Roundtable, aren't you? No, that
Oh,
was, he did that on
parking lot. That was.
That was a Roundtable.
Yeah.
I see what you're going.
Yeah, that's why I was like.
He did that on parking lot.
That's why I was like, yeah.
It's back to Rich again.
I was
Damn, I was getting there.
I was in the
I
park.
appreciate
Yeah.
you. I appreciate
All right.
That's why they have it.
Board roundtable. What you got, Rich?
Well, again, that's a very important subject, our salt shed. And number two, I wanna publicly recognize DPW for pouring the sidewalk today. They done a great job. They all worked together very well. It was kinda fun to see. So they done a great job, and hopefully we can get more of this done in the future. My only issue is, I've heard through the grapevine here tonight, there's a big funeral in this location on Thursday.
There will, the standard.
Standard,
standard-
it's tomorrow, the wake.
But
And that's the
Thursday's.
scheduled time for the next pour is Thursday at noon.
Thursday's the funeral.
I don't know if that's gonna be a real problem or not, but
I think they can get around it,
I'm hoping that. But the street will be shut down again.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be.
Well, the parking is on the park and all along the front.
Yeah, so they shouldn't be.
It was just a concern I had.
Yeah, it's legitimate. There's gonna be a lot of people there.
Human standards.
And that's all I have.
Just that we have our part-time DPW ed, if we can have him go around and trim some brush and tree limbs that are blocking street signs, stop signs. I know, like, heading to your house, that spruce hangs over enough where you can't see the speed limit side heading out of town.
I thought Ed was all done.
No, a couple of houses back from you. Like, before that 40 mile, was it the 40 mile an hour speed limit sign before your house, you can't see it. And then there's another one on Academy, that intersection, some vines and stuff growing in, you can't see that intersection. But I don't know when he's done, or have DPW just kind of drive around and trim some stuff back to
What was the intersection on Academy?
Academy, and I can't remember the other one was.
Cedar Street?
Thank you. Yep. But just drive around town and just use judgment to clear back some of the speed limit signs and street signs and stuff. But that's it. That's all I got.
Good.
I'm good.
The only thing I got, south side too, is, the Cemetery Street. We really need some shoulders there. There's high enough pavement that I think even a plow truck will fall off it and get stuck.
Problem with, I don't wanna add more work to our DPW, but the problem with leaving them blacktops unbacked is it does break off, so we lose our pavement.
It looks real good now.
Sooner than we should. So that is very important. And I would like to see us in the future put that into the blacktopping program so that, because DPW, let's face it, doesn't have enough time, enough equipment, and definitely not enough help to accomplish all this.
That's all I got. Financials?
Okay, I'll make a motion to pay,
Go.
make a motion to pay the payroll of $38,984.79.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to pay the general warrant of $153,505.26.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye. In that one there was probably the payment for the backhoe, I think was the big one. The checkbook status is $449,760.31.
Back in the.
We're back in the black.
Okay. Is there an executive session?
A very quick one, yes, for personnel.
I've heard that before.
Motion to go into executive session under for personnel under 1 VSA 313A1.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are in executive session.